history that all 13 colonies are going to have delegates meeting in the same exact spot. And this has never been done before. They really had no reason to. But now they do. But even then, they are not all coming here with the same idea. You see, most of the colonies to the north, they want independence because how can any empire declare war on its own people? But this side of the south, they're looking more at reconciliation because this empire is the most powerful in the world at the time. So, yes, there can be squabbles and disagreements. Okay, war's a bit extreme here, but why would you want to give up your citizenship to the greatest empire in the world? So think about this debate that they're having in here over that year. And then finally, as the war continues to rage on, in June of '76, we get Richard Henry Lee from Virginia, and he comes in with a resolution that states that these united colonies have the right and ought to be free and independent states. And that opens the door to the Declaration of Independence as it was written by Thomas Jefferson, although with 4 other members of this group, all of them representing 5 different colonies. It'll take them a few weeks to put this together, and they bring it back at the end of June, just in time for the July 1st date for the vote on the Lee Resolution. There's just one little hitch. It has to be unanimous. And you might be thinking they're going to take a long time in debating this resolution. It is a huge responsibility to think, are we going to go independent or not? But if you note the date is July 1st, 1776, we know Independence Day is July 4th. They only took a day and a half to come to a 12 yay, no nay, 1 abstention vote. New York doesn't vote, by the way. They will wait 2 weeks for a new delegation to come in with a yay vote in hand from their home assembly. But meanwhile, July 2nd is when all of them pretty much say yes to the Lee Resolution, but over the next 2 days, because we don't celebrate July 2nd like Adams thought we were going to, but instead they are editing the Declaration of Independence. Now, 86 edits are put into that document to make it representative of 13. And one of the most important edits is about the grievances in the middle, because there was a major fight that could have pulled 2 yays off the list. In here, Thomas Jefferson wrote that he was blaming the king for the transatlantic slave trade. And Georgia and South Carolina stopped in their tracks when they saw that. They did not want that. They felt that that was a step towards abolition. So they gave Jefferson an ultimatum. Remove the passage or remove our yay votes and ruin independence. So Jefferson took their ultimatum to heart. Remember, he too was an enslaver. He took that passage out so that the 13 could become independent altogether. That's how they would send it to the printer that evening. That passage will not be looked at again by the United States national government until 1787 in this room yet again when they are talking about the Constitution. And even then, the abolition of that slave trade does not occur until 1808, 32 years following the passage of the Declaration of Independence. And even then, slavery does not get abolished entirely in this nation until the 13th Amendment following the Civil War in the 1860s. Meanwhile, back in the 18th century with the Declaration, they will give this to Timothy Matlack, whose handwriting you see here. You may not be familiar with his name or his Quaker roots, for he was a conscientious objector by religion, but he felt it was important to let all generations know, even just through his handwriting, what side of the war he's on. He'll have this is ready by August, the signatures start to appear at the bottom on August 2nd. They will create a new form of government, the Articles of Confederation, which is no good. It allows for 13 sovereign states, no ability to collect taxes for the national government, but yet you can still raise an army. So this is all happening while we're at war. How are your soldiers going to get paid? Well, after the war, the states squabble like siblings, and something needs to be done. So in 1787, 12 out of 13, Rhode Island doesn't join in. It feels that it cannot hold its weight against the rest. And they will all come here to give us a new type of government, one that the world has never seen before. They will figure out that we need a president, a two-house legislature, that's how Congress is today, a Supreme Court, and future generations of Americans will have the ability to amend this Constitution because they want a document that can be flexible. Why do we need to go back to the drawing board every 20 years in order to draft something new? So if something needs to be changed, maybe we need presidential term limits. That's your 22nd Amendment. What about the rights of the people? Remember, in the very beginning, white men of property were the only ones allowed to vote, with the exception of New Jersey, that allowed single white women who owned property the right to vote, but that only lasted for 30 years. But black men who had been freed after the Civil War, with the 15th Amendment, they are allowed to vote. And ladies, we will get the right to vote in 1920 with the 19th Amendment. So, as you stand here, right now you have become part of this building's historical fabric. And as you hear the stories in here, maybe you are seeing a need for an amendment. You can come here to protest, you can talk about it with family and friends to get a petition started, to get a piece of legislation started. It's all in your hands, just as the founders have stated. And let me just give you one little anecdote for inspiration. The chair right here is original to the building. It's 244 years old. George Washington sat there during the Constitutional Convention, but it's Benjamin Franklin who brought it to our attention even today because of this sun design that you see. And he wanted to know if this was a sign of good things or bad things. And when that Constitution was adopted in this room on September 17th, 1787, he said that he had the happiness to know that it is a rising and not a setting sun. He did have a word of warning though. It is a republic if you can keep it. So as you leave here tonight, maybe you're going out to dinner, maybe you're getting ready to go on further with your adventures, but I have a question for you to think about. But how can we, the people of 2023, for our future prosperity, allow that sun to continue to rise as Benjamin Franklin saw it 236 years ago? And on that note, I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. If you have any questions, I'll meet you right out front for a quick moment, but enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you.